Hello everyone, my name is Akshay and welcome back to a brand new FPL video. In today's video, I'm going to take you through my second draft for my current FPL team. It's been about nearly 2 weeks since I made my first draft, and honestly, I think this draft, it looks unstoppable on paper. It's such an upgrade from my first draft, and I can't wait to show you guys. But just before I get started, I want to say a huge thank you for 1,000 subscribers on the channel. The first mini milestone has been here, and I really am grateful for all of your guys' support since I started this in January. If you do want to support the channel even more, make sure you do subscribe, as now we are on the road to 2,000 subscribers. But I do have a very exciting announcement. If you use things like Fantasy Football Hub, Fantasy Football Scout, and the various different fantasy football websites to help you get better at FPL, there is a brand new FPL site coming out, FPL analytical site. It's basically the next generation of fantasy football analytics, and I'm so excited to show you guys it soon. The spaces for the closed beta are already full. However, you can still get early access to official launch before official launch actually happens by signing up, and the first link in the description will take you to the website. But quickly, just before we get into the team selection, if you do enjoy the video, please do leave it a like and subscribe to the channel. If we can hit 100 likes on this video, that would be absolutely amazing. But other than that, let's get right into it. So quickly, before I start revealing my team, there is something that you're going to be seeing on screen now, and I have started my first ever FPL mini league for all my followers and subscribers to join, and I haven't decided the prizes yet, so let me know in the comments down below what cool prizes you think that I can give away for this. But the code is on the screen now. It is AAXVG7, so make sure you join my FPL mini league and let's battle it out. See if you can beat me. That would be very, very good. But anyway, let's start off in goal and defense for my newly second draft team. So in goal, I have Steele, Alexander-Arnold, Gabriel, Shaw, and Estepinian. So compared to my first draft, there is only one change there in defense, and that is Steele in for Johnston. Like I said before, all the upgrades to my team I believe are actual upgrades and provide a lot more benefit to my team than what my first draft was. So let's go over Steele's last season stats. So he made 15 appearances, he kept 6 clean sheets with an expected clean sheets of 5, so he outperformed that. He conceded 23 goals, made 37 saves, and got 8 bonus points in those 50 games. And now moving on to the new season, he has an expected points of 4.7 for his first game, which is actually the highest out of all the goalkeepers. And for his first 5 games, he has an expected points of 20.3, which is ranked second highest out of all the goalkeepers. I know there are a lot of 4.5 goalkeepers floating around at the moment between FPL managers. Johnston, for example, Steele, even Pickford. I've seen Pickford in so many drafts. But I just don't understand, specifically Pickford, why he's so heavy at the moment with FPL managers. Because firstly, Everton don't have the easiest of fixtures going into the season. They have Fulham, Aston Villa, Wolves, Sheffield United, Arsenal and Brentford. So there's 2-3 difficult fixtures in there on paper. And they didn't have the best defence last season by any means. I know Pickford gets save points, but so do a lot of the other goalkeepers. And I don't think Sean Dyche is going to miraculously change Everton's defence within the space of 2 months. I think it's going to take time, so I'm not sure why people are going so heavy on Pickford, but I've gone for Steele because Brighton do have very nice fixtures in their opening games. They've got Luton, Wolves and West Ham, and then it does get a little bit difficult for them with Newcastle and Man United, and then it kind of eases off again. But like I said, I did take out Johnston for Steele, so let's compare the stats of both of them quickly. Like I said, they're both 4.5 mil. Steele made 15 appearances last season, Johnston made 9. Steele kept 5 clean sheets, Johnston kept 3. And then points wise, Steele got 65 points, Johnston got 36. And then, like I said, Steele has the highest expected points out of any goalkeeper going into game week 1. Well, you might be saying Johnston played a lot less games than Steele, which is a fair fact to say. However, if we just compare that on averages, Steele was averaging 4.33 points per game and Johnston was averaging 4 points per game. So if Johnston did play the same amount of games, if you work on the law of averages, he would have still had less points than Steele. Also, I would love to know what your drafts are looking like at the moment, so make sure you leave a comment with how your teams are looking, and if you need any help or have any questions for anything about your teams, I will do my best to help you out. But now, let's move on to my midfield. So I have Saka, Maddison, Foden, Rashford and Mitoma. So it's a little bit different here, as you can see from my last team. The first thing to notice is I have made a formation change. So in my initial draft, I had a 4-4-2 formation, and now I'm playing a 4-5-1 formation. So very interesting only having one player up front. But anyway, the midfield. I've already gone through Saka, Rashford and Mitoma's stats in depth in the last video, so if you want to see that, just click the little link above my head here. But the two new boys in the team are Maddison and Foden, so we'll begin with Maddison. So let's take a look at Maddison's stats for last season, and bear in mind he did play for Leicester, who had a terrible season and got relegated. So he scored 10 goals, got 9 assists with 19 goal involvements. He had 12 big chances created, and then going into the season he has, in his first game, a predicted points of 4.5, and then over the first 5 games 25.3. So some very impressive stats there, considering, like I said, that he was in a terrible Leicester side. They were all over the place. They didn't really have a proper striker all season, so those stats are very, very impressive. I feel like the FPL community was very quick to jump on the Mbeumo bandwagon, seeing as Tony can't play for the first half of the season, and people thought that he was going to be playing striker, and I was one of them, of course. But then I took a step back and I was like, hold on, let me actually consider and compare the different midfielders in that mid-range type of price point. And obviously Maddison was one, Foden's another one, but let's compare Maddison and Mbeumo, okay? Maddison made 8 less appearances than him last season, so Maddison made 30 and Mbeumo made 38. And he had a higher goal involvements than him by 1. So he got 19 and Mbeumo got 18. Of course, he finished on less points, but that makes sense because he didn't play as many games, so he didn't get the points for playing games or just the extra clean sheet that Leicester probably didn't get, but you know what I mean. And if we actually look at their expected stats for the first game of the season, Mbeumo actually has more. He has 5.3 and Maddison has 4.5. However, we all need to consider now that Maddison is playing for Tottenham. He's surrounded by Son, he's surrounded by Kane, so he's surrounded by players on a different level, to a different league to the attack that Leicester had. And it's just going to be a given that he's going to be creating more chances, receiving more chances, and in that cam position I think that he's going to hit the ground absolutely running with Tottenham, just because of the simple fact that he's playing with much higher quality players. So if his stats are that good for a relegation side, imagine what they'll be like for a top 6 side. And also one nice other pro to throw in there is that Maddison has a lower ownership at the moment than Mbeumo, because like I said, everybody's jumped on the Mbeumo bandwagon, so he could be a really nice, I wouldn't say differential, but kind of a differential-esque type of player for your team. But here we are back onto the squad now, and of course, like I said, Foden is one of the new other replacements that I've made to my team. Before I had Bruno in the team, but now I've replaced him with Foden. So let's look at Foden's last season stats, which in my opinion are so impressive. I'll get on to why I find his stats so impressive when I do the comparison with him and Bruno, but anyway, let's just take a look at his stats, plain and simple at the moment. So he scored 10 goals with an expected goals of 6.2, so completely outperformed that aspect. He got 6 assists with an expected assist of 6, so he matched that. 13 goal involvements, 8 big chances created. He goes into the season with 4.6 predicted points for the first game, and then over the first 5 games 23.3. However, I feel that is unfair and it is very low. So we have to consider that Mahrez is on the verge of leaving Man City. They've also had a numerous amount of outgoings. De Bruyne is most likely going to be injured for the start of the season. So that right wing position, even cam position you could say, is probably out of Foden and Bernardo Silva. And I really do feel like Foden's going to be starting the season. And Guardiola tends to keep basically the same team going into the start of the season with not too much rotation going on. So if Foden does start the season, I think he's going to be an absolutely incredible asset to have. Really good value for money, which is why the original point that I was making is his expected points are lower at the moment, because those expected points are based on him playing an average of 65 minutes per game. So if he plays 90 minutes per game, then those averages will go up significantly. But yeah, like I said, I did have Bruno in that position before and I've replaced him with Foden. So now let's look at the comparison between Foden and Bruno last season. And this is why I said it is so impressive, the stats that Foden has. So we'll begin with price. Foden is 7.5 mil and Bruno is 8.5 mil. At the start of the season, saving that 1 mil is vital. But the thing that really impressed me was his minutes. He played 56% less minutes than Bruno last season. So he played 1,800 minutes and Bruno played 3,300 minutes. And his goal involvements was actually higher in more than half less time played, if that makes sense. That should make sense. So he got 18 goal involvements and Bruno got 17. He obviously did score way less points than Bruno, but that is because he played, like I said, 56% less minutes than Bruno, so he didn't get the minutes points and he didn't get the clean sheet points for for midfielders, sorry. And then I've talked about his expected points already. Bruno's expected points for the first game week are very high because he is one of the brightest prospects, I would say, for FPL managers going into the season because of his value being at 8.5 mil. Don't get me wrong, he's still an amazing pick. Also, a good thing to point out is that Man City's start to the season is very nice for fixtures. So they go to Burnley, then they've got Newcastle, Sheffield United, Fulham and West Ham. The only difficult fixture there is Newcastle. Let's be real, none of the other fixtures for Man City should be a problem and they should absolutely smash those fixtures compared to Man United's fixtures, which are Wolves, Tottenham, Nottingham Forest, Arsenal and Brighton. So 3 tough fixtures there with Tottenham, Arsenal and Brighton for United. So another pro going in favour of Foden. And then finally, moving on to the attack and subs, Haaland has stuck, obviously, as my main striker. And then the only change really is Adebayo and Baldock in my subs. Adebayo is a really nice, cheap option to have in your team, especially if you're playing only one up front, because you're not going to really replace anybody with Haaland. So if by the off chance Haaland gets injured or doesn't play a game, for example, Adebayo is a decent, cheap replacement to have on your bench. But the beauty of this team, which I haven't mentioned yet, is there is £1.5 million in the bank. So you have options to upgrade any position, basically, obviously bar Haaland. Any position that you want, you can upgrade in this team. If I didn't want Maddison, say Son started going crazy in pre-season, I can upgrade to get Son because Maddison 7.5 mil, I have 1.5 mil in the bank, 9 mil Son, perfect. I can even get Bruno back in the side. There's just a whole range of options that you can go with because that 1.5 mil in the bank will come in clutch for you at the start of the season, especially because people like to change their team around. No, you don't really know how players are going to perform going into the start of the season and stuff. So a lot of changes do go on at the start of the season. So having that 1.5 mil in the bank, is especially vital because you won't need to really take hits and stuff as well, because you'll have enough money to move your team around. But overall, that is it for this video. Please do let me know in the comments down below what you think of this team. Like I said, I do think it looks unstoppable at the moment. On paper, it looks amazing. So let me know what you think, and also make sure you comment down below your teams, and if you need any help with your teams, I'll reply to all of your comments. But other than that, guys, leave a like if you did enjoy the video, subscribe for more FPL videos that I'm going to be bringing out across the week. But other than that, have a great day.